Episode 91, Mom's Basement MMA. As always, it is your boy Hector Diesel, and I am with Jerald, the Fresh Viking Spawn. Jerald, I haven't talked to you since all the way back in episode 9, and I'm still here. There have been a few changes to the show since you were last on, but it's always a pleasure to have you back, man. And what the heck have you been up to since the last time I talked to you?
Fuck, bro. I thought the MMA guys would have got rid of you by now.
I know. I haven't gotten canceled yet. It's been close.
Okay.
I've alienated a few fighters. A couple people don't like me, but I'm still here. The comments section has not fucked with me, man. Like, you can't fuck with the call out
Good.
king.
Nah. No, fuck it. You don't even need to pay any attention to it.
When I think of you, I really don't think of you as like a fighter primarily. I don't. I know that's a big part. I know it sounds kind of asinine for me to say because my show is about mixed martial arts, but like the athletes I talk to, the fighters I talk to, it's like the thing that they latch onto. It's like the dog meat tail end of the car. They latch on, they don't let go, and that's like the driving force of their life. And when I think about you and I think about everything that you've gone up to this point in your career, you were a collegiate wrestler for a long time at Kent State, and you did very, very well. I know a few wrestlers. I knew a few of them in high school. That in and of itself is like a full-time job. And you just so happen to be a student on top of that. Like, running around with trash bags on in the gym constantly, eating, like a handful of nuts and a bottle of water. And like, that was their lunch. Like, that's a lifestyle. And for you, you go to college, you wrestle collegiately at a very high level. You immediately go into an amateur mixed martial arts career. You do very, very well. And then you parlay all of this into starting your professional MMA journey just last summer. And my question to you is like, that's a lot. Like, that is years of constant training, constant injuries. Do you ever like get like mental fatigue and ever think to yourself, like, I need a break. I need to like do other things.
I myself, like any and all mixed martial artists, are real everyday people that encounter a lot of the same problems that you or, anyone that's currently listening will probably encounter. I mean, regular life stuff such as just, making sure we have a good place to sleep, have food on the table, more intense stuff where it might be like, anxiety, depression, stuff like that. Or even just like someone in your family struggling, or maybe losing someone in your family, stuff like that. We all have those things. So essentially, like, anyone listening to this can take their life and then just add in also your main source of income being trying not to get punched in the face. And that itself, adds a whole lot of stress to it. So to answer your question, it is overwhelming, and I actually am kind of taking a little bit of a step back right now, for the first time in a very long time. I went wrestling like my entire life, and then fighting, for 4 years straight. So I'm not done. I need some space a little bit, and I'm still in the gym. I'm still getting better. I'm still coaching. I just coached one of our amateurs to a second win this weekend. And I'm still all over the sport. Like, I don't want to be away from the sport, but I need to relieve the pressure of like, I got to get better. Like I got to win this next fight. I just want to be for a little bit. I just want to be.
Yeah. I completely understand. And in a weird alternate universe where I have something in common with you, it's like you fight, you perform in a dominant fashion in your very first bout, and naturally people like me, we want to see more. It's like, holy shit, this guy's really good. Like, I want to see more. We're just picking up at like the tail end, or I'm not going to call it the tail end of the journey, but like, we're picking up on you at like mile marker 500, right? You've been at this for a very long time. Like, you don't just like wake up, find yourself in CFFC making your professional MMA debut in front of however many hundred of people that were at the 2300 arena. It doesn't work that way. Like, you had to fight in a bunch of shitty shows where 15 people showed up. The only people that may have been there were like people from your gym. Like, you're fighting in like these like nondescript, thankless promotions for free because you were in AMI for quite a while. And it's like you sit back, people start paying attention, they demand more. And where I have something in common with you is in my own respects, like starting up this platform and making a space for people and all of, I know you're involved in video production, all that other stuff. Like I had to learn how to do all that stuff. I didn't come from the industry. I had to make connections. I had to do all of these things. And it's flattering when people are interested and they want to be on the show, but it's like, hey, I have a fight next week. Can I be on your show? And it's just like, no, like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but it's like, no, I can't. Like, you guys don't understand like all the prep, all the pre-production it takes to even just get to this point. Yeah, I could, but it's going to be a garbage show, and I don't put out garbage content. So the answer is no. Sorry.
Well, and that's honestly good for you and standing up for yourself in that regard, because it is you're protecting your craft. You know, you're not protecting it so much that you're not putting anything out. You know, you're not like trying to perfect it to where it's perfect and, you know, doing one show a year. At the same time, it's kind of like the whole like take on clients for a job. You could serve 100 clients well enough, or you could serve 25 fucking really good, and you'd rather do the 25 really good, at least in my opinion. You know, everyone's got their thing, and those people that serve the 100, you know, well enough, like have their place as well. It's just not a place for you and I.
Yeah, I'm not a McDonald's kind of show where it's just like pick a number and then there you go. It's the same thing. There's a lot of work that's involved. And so when I think back and when I look at just kind of where you are, you last fought not quite a year ago, but about 9 months ago. And since that bout, and since you've been, I don't know, I won't call it a step away from the game, but like since you've been able to like just go to the gym like a regular person for a while and coach, do you start seeing mixed martial arts from a different lens? And do you think when you eventually do get back into the fold, it's going to like make you a more well-rounded fighter because you've not only had time to like recharge the batteries, but you've also had time to like digest the game, not necessarily from a fighter's perspective?
I think stepping back is going to allow me to see it in a much more mature and like whole view type of way, to where it's hard to see it as anything else than the fight when you're that close to it. But when you take that step back, like especially coaching, and it's going to help me see it for what it really is. And also in a way, like I held it, you know, to this degree of importance that is awesome. And it's driven a lot of my growth and driven a lot of my progression and gotten me where I am. But I think I'm hitting a point in my life to where my priorities are changing a little bit. And it's not so much about being locked into that. And it's more about having like a healthy relationship with mixed martial arts. I used to be obsessed with the fact that like by having the skills that I had and the personality that I have, that like that I could be a fucking superstar. And that came at still wanting to have a positive impact and use that superstardom to do a lot of amazing things for other people. But now it's just framed differently, where it's like, I don't care about that as much. That's just going to come if I just be me. My concern is having the impact on the people. So it used to be, you know, be the superstar first to get the platform and then give back. And now I'm like, why don't I just start giving back now and, you know, let that build with the rest of it. So it's just perspective.
It's very interesting that you frame it in that way, because I can't think of a more selfish thing to do than be a prize fighter, because you have to think about you. And it's normal. Like if you're not putting yourself first, you're and catering to your needs and developing the way you need to be, I don't think you're going to be as successful as you want to be. And that sounds like a Captain Obvious thing to say, but where it gets a little tricky is when you're constantly in that mindset of only putting yourself first. It's really easy to become like an egomaniac. It's really easy to only think about life through your wishes and desires and not the people that are around you that are building you up, your coaches, your sponsors, those sort of things. And it's kind of most of the fighters, I would say, that I interact with at all levels, an overwhelming number of them have been very, very cool. There have been a few egomaniacs though, where it's to a point where it's just like, I'm not even upset that you're too busy for me. Like I'm not even, I'm not even mad anymore that you left me on red. Maybe that's just indicative of society at large, but like, is there any credence to like my, armchair psychology right there?
No, or yes, there is. I mean, it is incredibly selfish, and I mean, wrestling's kind of the same.
Yeah.
I mean, wrestling's a little more of a team sport because of the dual effect and then team points and stuff like that. But I mean, essentially, like, I mean, dude, like, it took me a while to figure it out, but there were guys on teams that I didn't like because I had to compete for a starting spot with them, and they might have been really cool, interesting people that I might have missed out on having a decent or good relationship with, because I was like, if I like this guy and I lose to this guy, like I don't get my bread. And like,
Right.
You got to cut some throats at some point, if, especially in some sports like that, you can't be nice to everyone. That's where I was forced to go as a wrestler and came into MMA with, that was my, like, a lot of my wrestling growth. I matured a lot from there, and I'm still maturing an insane amount through fighting, but it is selfish. And when you're like me and want to help others and do things for other people, you get sick of it being about you. And that's kind of what did it for me. Like at the end of this year, I'm like, fuck, like I'm just tired of fucking people giving a fuck about Jerald Spohn. And I don't mean that in a negative way at all. I love that everyone's interested and spends their time, energy, money, and attention. But it's also just like you wake up with a little ping on your phone and it's more pressure to be that guy. Yeah. And it's like, can I just like, go teach someone at the gym and make them really good and like help them be that guy for today? So
what is in your mind, Jerald? You hit on something that I really want to like dig deeper into. You said you want to have a healthy relationship with mixed martial arts. What is a healthy relationship with mixed martial arts to you?
I'm still figuring it out, but let's spitball it here. This can be fun. This might be some great content. So, so a healthy relationship with mixed martial arts to Jerald Spohn. I mean, it comes with, first and foremost, understanding, as with a relationship with anyone or anything. It's a complicated sport with a lot of different layers to it, as most things. And I think for myself, it's being able to view it as an endeavor and as an ambition and work towards it without doing it to the degree in which it's overly stressful, like almost like shooting myself in the foot, type of thing, to where it's like, okay, like training for 2 or 3 hours a day is good, as to where training for 5 is bad, where it's like at that 3.5 hour mark, my body starts breaking down and I feel like shit. Feeling like shit makes me not want to do it. Not wanting to do it makes me sad because I love doing it, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that transitions well into boundaries, like setting up boundaries. So understanding and setting up boundaries, boundaries for yourself, for the sport, for the people in it. Knowing that, like, okay, like I used to like when I was just run around, me, myself, and I, like, and was a little less mature and didn't care so much about stuff. I was like, I will fucking die in a cage, and I'm cool with that. And now that I've gotten a little bit older and more mature, I'm like, well, I have a lot of people in my family and a lot of close, so I'm okay with hurting people in a cage, but not outside of the cage.
Right.
And really what I said was like, so for now, boundaries and whatever the first thing I said was, boundaries and like understanding. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say like there's a lot that people can relate to, and this was something, and I've been pretty outspoken about it. I've been talking about mental health. I've talked about the impact it's had on my life and things I had to do differently in my life to survive. depression, anxiety, it's a real thing. And I encourage anybody who's having problems with any sort of mental health issue, get help. People really do care. But it takes courage. Like nobody's going to like bust down your door and tell you like, hey, well, here's your appointment with your shrink. Go and do this. Like you need to pick up the phone and call somebody for help. And I made it got like things in my life came to critical mass where I had to do something different. And one of the things that we talk about is managing expectations of others. Like we feel like I'm very similar to you. Like I want to make people feel good. Like I want to be there for people. I want to be there for my friends, be there for my family, be a good father, be a good husband. But when you start spreading yourself too thin, when you start putting that peanut butter spread into your life, you get globs in certain areas and it thins out in others. And when you sit back, it's very easy to have anxiety about that and be like, oh, wow, like I'm putting all of the peanut butter, right, like on my job, and then it's thinning out in my personal life or vice versa, whatever it looks like for you. And I sit back and I'm just like, you know what? If I keep living life through this, I'm not even living my own life on my own terms. I'm running around like a fireman trying to put out fires. It literally is like running around with a pail full of water in the Sahara Desert and throwing water recklessly at anything that looks dry. And so many of us live our lives like that. And I sat back and I'm just like, okay, what are my priorities? And I wrote them out. Like there's a small list of things that are really important to me. I want to be a good husband. Well, what does that look like? Then I deep dive from there. I want to be a good father. Well, you have to qualify success. Like you can't stop there. It can't be, oh, I'm going to be a good husband. Well, what does a good husband do? And that answer is going to be different for everybody. It's going to be different for every relationship. But I did this. I methodically sat down and I thought about what are my priorities going to be? And what is my plan going to be? What does success look like? And what are the steps I need to take in order to achieve success? And if you don't do that, if you aren't deliberate with it, you're fucked. You're not going to get it. Like it's not going to come. And on this short list of priorities, for me anyway, was continuing this platform and continuing the show. I'm not doing this for me. Like personally, this is something I just enjoy doing, and I have already achieved everything I had set out to do. Like by virtue of just having the people like you on this platform and getting people interested, getting people intrigued to want to go on Fight Pass and check out your fights, getting people intrigued enough to hit the add button, and then all of a sudden I start seeing you on other shows like. That to me, I've already achieved with just you. I've already achieved everything I thought I would. So everything at this point is just gravy. And when people demand more of me, or like I'm pushed, and all of a sudden like my list of priorities starts being compromised, that's where I like red flag. I'm just like, hey, listen, like this is where my list of priorities come back into play. And it's like, you know what? I have to respect myself enough to tell people no.
And it all starts from there, Tyler. It's taking the time to sit down, determine what's actually important to you, and building a structure around it and like protecting it. And because the things that aren't protected will fall by the wayside, and sometimes even the things that are do on accident. We're all human. We all get distracted.
Right. So, and there's going to be outside forces that tell you what your priorities should be. Like, so there's so many assholes like me that what are we going to say, right? Mm-hmm. Jerald, dude, like you need to, like fighting should be your priority, right? But that's easy for me to say because this show's about mixed martial arts. Like I watch fights. It's a very simple life, man. Like I do my regular job. I hang out with my wife, my family, and then I watch mixed martial arts. That's basically it. So it's easy for me to say, but like your fiance, like the people that are closest to you, they're going to have differing opinions. And like, yes, all that input's good, but like at the end of the day, the only person who could prioritize the things in your life is you. Nobody else can do that.
Mhm. I agree. And I think it's an important thing to do because the answer is in here and in here.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are stuck looking everywhere else except for in here and here. They're afraid to sit in a room by themselves quiet with a pad and a pen.
Mhm.
And
And,
that shouldn't be scary.
and you have to be at peace that no matter how much time and energy and thought you put into that pen and paper, there are going to be people who are upset with you, no matter what you put. It doesn't matter
Absolutely.
what the order is. It could be feed the starving children in Africa. It could be you name it. It doesn't make a difference. Like think of like the most like think of anything, right? There are going to be people who are like, oh, well, he put feed the starving children in Africa. I guess he doesn't fucking care about people in South America. Like the point is like people, you cannot please everybody, and you have to be at peace with knowing that there are people out there that don't like you for whatever reason, whether it's real or imagined. Like there are going to be people who aren't satisfied.
Absolutely. And it's, dude, I see it in my life. Like dude, I get along with like 99% of people, but there's just that 1%. They might be a completely awesome, totally fine. Like, I'm not saying there's wrong with that 1%, but there's just like a certain mixture of like personality traits that for whatever reason, I can't like connect with. And it's not that I don't like them. I just can't connect with them. And like, I've met some people that like really want to like get close to me. And I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just kind of how it shakes out. So, I mean, that's just an example of, me not even having a problem with a person or a thing, but I just, it's just how life is. We're all very drastically different people with different interests and different upbringings and different experiences. So it's going to get weird.
Right. And then especially what's also interesting is just kind of how we interact and how we socialize with people through like a social media platform like Instagram. It's very easy to take things kind of the wrong way, and it's very easy to become just another asshole in somebody's inbox. And like one of the things that I've learned is I can't really take anything too seriously. And there are some people that have I've definitely rubbed off the wrong way, but I don't really apologize for it because, case in point, I won't say who it is because it's not relevant. It's not important. And I'm not a shit talker, but there was a big league fighter that I hit up, and I was a fan of this particular fighter, and was like, "Hey, listen, you have a fight coming up. I'd like to cover it." And, I just kind of like put my thumb up, lick my thumb and put it up in the air. I'm like, hey, a lot of people aren't covering this particular person. I want to talk to them. Anywho, yeah, okay, cool. Let's do it. And, time and place, I show up at the appointed time and place, and 30 minutes later, I get a text like, that's not going to work for me. I can't do it. And that comes with the business. Like that's part of the game, man. Like I don't get too strung out about that. Like I don't have a studio. I'm in my office. It's not a huge inconvenience. These things happen. Okay, cool. No problem. I understand. You're in fight camp. Shit happens. I get that. I'm a reasonable dude. Let's reschedule for, 3 days later. Okay, cool. 3 days later, show up, Ghostville. Just nothing. And then like I want to say a week later, this fighter DMs me. He's like, "Yo, sorry, I've just been busy, but I could do like Wednesday at 1:06 p.m." And you know what? I did? Unfollow. Like, do I have ill will toward this person? No, but there's also a part of me where it's just kind of like, you know what? Like, I met this person twice. I on their terms too, and what does that really say about me if I'm just going to like bend over like a willow tree to anybody else's like whims and desires? It's like, no, you know what? And I didn't even respond. So I just unfollowed them and, hey, wish them well. No animosity on my part, but it's like, I've moved on, man. And like, I don't know, like I just kind of have that sense of detachment in my personal life too. Like I think we're all a little bit detached, as crazy as it sounds. On social media, we're a bit detached. It's easy to be detached because we're just doing this. Like there's no human in front of us. You know, we don't think about there's somebody else on the other side of this screen. We don't think about that shit. It's just easy to detach. And like, if there's one benefit to that, it's like you also kind of have to take that same detachment into your personal life. Because when people try to assert themselves in, you have to be able to tell people no, or you have to be able to be like, you know what, I'm not doing this shit. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Nothing at all. I mean, it's funny for as many different things that we've talked about today. It's all kind of the same thing, you know, in a way. It all kind of feeds into the same thing, where it's like really just knowing who you are and what you're looking for and what's important to you, and just accepting things. It's all, I mean, honestly, dude, if we sat down, we could probably list out just a few things, you know, like planning, acceptance, like shit like that. But dude, the formula, the life is hard.
Yeah.
The formula for life isn't.
Yeah. That's very true.
It takes steps. It takes steps. It takes effort. It takes work. People don't want to work. They don't want to work in general. They don't want to work on themselves. And I will be the first to say, working on yourself is fucking hard, dude. It is like, it's not an easy thing looking in that mirror and accepting. I mean, dude, I was born with red hair. I've been working on that for 27 years now. So, right. But to be serious, it's not easy, but I mean, if you're unhappy, you can either accept to live unhappily and feed into it because that's what you're doing, or you can start changing for the better.
And I would say this, it's like, you know, to add on that, like, yeah, absolutely, we should all try to get better, whatever that means for you, whether that means building better relationships, whether it means becoming a better badass so you can beat people up for money, whatever that looks like for you. But understand that no matter how hard you try, like, I could meditate for 6 hours a day, I could become a monk, I could move to Tibet, I could eat only organic foods, whatever the case may be, but I'm always going to be a flawed person at the end of the day. There's always going to be something about me that's imperfect. There's always going to be something about me that I am not going to be able to do as well as other people, but that's just who I am. That's how I'm built. I'm a flawed person. I excel in certain areas of my life, yes, but there are others where don't ask me to do your fucking taxes, Jerald. I will send your ass to prison. Trust me. Like the things I'm not good at, I have other people take care of. Like I'm not going to be a CPA tomorrow, no matter how hard I try. Yeah. I'm not going to be that guy, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. You know, the things that you aren't good at, like, know thyself, know what you suck at, so you're not putting yourself in a compromising position later on.
People operate off self-interest, and self-interest gets you into some areas where you probably shouldn't be, or you're not really equipped to handle what you're doing. So yeah, I mean, I agree. It's interesting. I personally just want to be dangerous at life. Yeah, you know, being absolutely. Dangerous in the cage is cool, but I want to be dangerous in life. Like, that way, when the shit storm comes, when this tropical storm that's coming to hit, you know, Northeast Ohio tomorrow, I think, comes, like, I'm fucking ready.
You know, like, one of the more interesting things, and I don't always get to talk about this with everyone, it's like, we're so fixated on the next thing, whether it's the next fight, the next belt, the next promotion, the next girlfriend, whatever. Like, we're never happy in the moment, are we? Like, it's always, we are pre-programmed biologically to never be satisfied with what we currently have, right? So if you have $1 million, you're pre-programmed to want $2 million. If you have a belt in the 170-pound weight class, you want the 85 belt too. Like, we're never happy with what it is that we have. And it's like, be deliberate, live in the moment, enjoy what it is that you have, because if you're always like moving that stick, and I'm not telling people to not be ambitious, but like, if you're always like resetting, you're never going to be happy ever. And when I think about fighting, it's just kind of like, you know what, man, like, when you're my age, or like when you're almost 40 years old and fucking old and have a mortgage and you have kids of your own, and you're worrying about putting braces on your kids, you're not necessarily worrying about being the 185-pound champion or 170-pound champion. Like, life moves on, man. Like, this is a temporary thing. Fighting is temporary. And I tell everyone this. I'm like, there's a limited amount of time that you can biologically, physically, mentally do this. It's not tenable over a long course of your life. It's not going to happen. It's impossible. It's impossible. So when you're on your deathbed and when people are eulogizing you, if the first thing that they talk about is you being the 70-pound champion, you fuck your life up.
Yeah.
You, like that should be a trivia question that people have to think about. That doesn't define who you are as a human being. And when you look back, Jerald, like when you're an old dude like me, and when you look back on this chapter in your life, like, what is it that you want the main takeaway to be?
The type of person that I am and what I did for people, and just the things that are really important, you know.
Yeah.
Good dad, good friend, you know, like was there when I needed him. This one time, I do want there to be at least a few stories where they're like, this fucking dumbass did this one time. Like, there's gotta be a couple of those. But before I get too deep into that, being present, I just want to touch this because it's so important, and it is one of the hardest things to do, especially if you're ambitious, because you're always planning for the next thing. So that is the thing that I love the most, and that is so beautiful about fighting, because when I'm training, when I'm fighting, if I am not 100% present, I'm getting punched in the fucking mouth. Yeah. So it adds a balance to my life, because I'm a very like in my head type of guy, not in my head in a bad way, but like, dude, I'm always thinking of shit. Like business idea, podcast idea. I should reach out to this person I haven't talked to in 2 years. I need to do this. Like, and that is me not being present. That's me being up here while life is happening right here. So the thing that's so beautiful about fighting is like, I have to be. And it's I think it's helped me remain more present in what I do, because like right now I am not any place in the world or in my head other than sitting here right here with you, Tyler, and we're going to get the most out of this experience together. Yeah. If we both remain that way. And that's just how it is. I mean, that's how it should be. It's hard. It's really hard, but being able to separate like now is a time where I dedicate to XYZ, and then later is a time I dedicate to sit back, think about stuff, drink my coffee, write shit down, like, you know. So yeah,
it's you know, there are a couple interesting things about you that I think a lot of people don't know. You train other folks in mixed martial arts, so you're a teacher. I also know that in your past life that you were in like video production. Actually, Drew told me that about you. Now you have like your Hard to Kill podcast, which I wish I could listen to it more, but I do listen in on it from time to time. There's a lot of really good content in there. And what I like most about it, for you in particular, is it's not about fighting. It's about life. It's about like self-improvement. It's about exploring other things that you probably don't have the opportunity to do. And I like for you that that's an outlet. That's a healthy outlet for you to explore other areas of interest that don't have anything to do with what you're best known for. And I think that's like very, very healthy for you. Can you talk about some of the other things that you're involved in that have nothing to do with fighting whatsoever?
Yeah, so there is the podcast, which has been like, we haven't been doing like at all lately. And that's totally on me. So Drew is the co-host, but he also has his own shit going on. So he's like, hey dude, like when you got someone teed up, call me, we'll find a time, we'll do it. But like, you know, his interests are just like, you know, helping, you know, and the podcast, dude, I used to put pressure on myself to make it this grand thing. And then I realized, like, can it just be something I do as I want because I enjoy doing it? And when I got the time, and dude, that made it a lot easier to do and made it a lot more enjoyable. Yeah. But there's that. Yeah, I coach and teach at the gym. What am I working on right now? I do a lot of writing. I do writing for 1:37 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar. They cover culture, sports, music, like artists, like all that stuff. They're fucking awesome. So continue.
I was just going to say that it's healthy to kind of have those outlets for you. You're able to keep your lights on, and you can pursue, like, fighting is still there. Like, you're a young guy still, and you can realistically do this for another 10 years, let's say. Realistically, at a high level, you could do this for 10 years. Time is on your side. And is there kind of like a sense of satisfaction or comfort to you where you know in the back of your mind, like, I have about a 10-year window, fighting will be there, I can hit that up, I can go into fight mode, and I can do that when it suits me?
That is, it's a lot different than what I was used to than like with wrestling. Like wrestling, I knew it was like at the end of my college days, like I was probably done. And so it was like, okay, like I got 4 years, you know? So, it is very comforting, and it's just nice to know it's like, you know, like I'm getting married later this year. Like I'm not fighting when it close to the wedding, like absolutely not. And I'm going to go on a honeymoon after. And like, so there's, you know, 3 to 4 months that like I'm going to be like not competing, which is like fine. I'm still going to be in the gym and training and everything. And that's kind of exciting too. It's like, it's 3 to 4 months. I can finagle with something. I can work on some crazy spinning shit, you know, and just see if it works, you know, like.
Yeah, absolutely. What, we're doing spinning shit now?
Dude, so like what would be the biggest disappointment if I, like, let's just say for whatever reason I like never fight again? Like what would be the biggest disappointment is to this point, like, and I'm glad it's this way. To this point, my fundamentals have carried me through fights, and they're like, and that's what I wanted. I didn't want to like have to rely on the crazy shit.
Yeah.
That I have so much fun, like little things that like I'm also really good at. Like I'm not tooting my own horn. Like don't get me wrong, I have a long way to go as a fighter. Like, but there's some stuff that could be really fun, especially like I could get away with it pretty safely right now, bro. Like I want to whip it out, but it's like when I'm in a fight, it's just like, do what you got to do to win the fight. Straight punches, solid grappling, like go to it. I just like, what I need is I need a dude that I can't get out of there. I need to fight a guy that I just can't finish. And that in the third round, once I get a guy tired, that's when it opens up, because like once they're tired, and I know I'm always going to have that edge. I don't get fucking tired, dude. I'm always going to have that edge. It's like, yeah, dude, I'll work my spinning crane kick on their bitch ass.
You need to fight. You need to fight a Colby Covington. Then you need to fight somebody who's cardio king, just like that, just like you.
I do. Yeah, dude, I would love that.
Someone that could like push you, and you know, we could see some you know, spinning backfish shit. Something.
Bring the best
cool
out of me.
It'll bring the best out of you, and like one of the reasons why I love this sport so much is because like I feel like I can relate to it so much. Like I don't have to go into a cage to know what a fight feels like. Like every day's a fight. Getting up out of fucking bed is a fight. Paying your bills, going to your job when you don't fucking want to, when you're sad, when you're fucking depressed, and like you're not there, and life is pulling at you in 500 different directions. Every day is a fucking struggle. Every day. And you know, and it's like, but without that struggle, if every day were easy for me, how fulfilled would I be if I did something that was really fucking cool? Like a podcast where I talk to fighters. Like, how fulfilling would that be if I could just wave a wand and snap my fingers, and like any person I want to have on my show, I would instantly get without any sort of hustle? Like, how satisfying would it be? Embrace the grind, man. Like, I love the grind. Yep. I love it. Like, the reason why this show continues is because I love it. I love the grind. I love finding out about new people. And there's always these expectations like, oh, you should have, you know, insert big name fighter here on your show. And I'm just kind of like, unless I already know somebody at their gym that I'm super tight with, like I'm not really gonna go out of my way, I don't think. Because like why? Like like I don't know. Like, yeah, it's cool for like to me to be a fanboy, I guess, for a second, but like that's not really what I'm about. I'm about putting on a platform for like others that
Yeah.
need one. That's what this is about.
Mhm.
It's not about having insert famous guy. It's not about having Fedor on my show. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to have him. He can come on anytime he wants. But that's not what I'm about. And this isn't about me. This isn't to satisfy my ego. It's about others. And if this platform, once this platform, if people stop seeing value in it, and if it's not able to advance somebody's career or open up different opportunities for them, then it ceases to be useful.
And that's why you will be successful. I mean, it depends on what your parameters are. I would say you're already extremely successful. Um, but also like it depends on what you really want out of it. But doing it for the sake of doing it is where you win.
Yeah.
And that's something I have to remind myself too.
Yeah, like I'm content with where I'm at, honestly. Like it's very easy to get bogged down and to say like, oh well, I need 1,000 more followers, or oh I need to do this, or oh I need to do that, or like all of these like we inevitably start comparing ourselves to other people, and we look at their accomplishments, and then that makes us in turn feel like shit about ourselves. And I'm just like, you know what, stop all
Yeah.
that.
And like,
I'm
yeah.
fuck all that. Like fuck everyone else's expectations, fuck everything. All I care about is, number one, is my guest going to benefit from this, whether they're wherever they are in their career, whether they're an amateur
Yep.
that's just starting out, or whether they're a seasoned veteran in Bellator. It doesn't matter. The prep is the exact same. Do they benefit from it? And if they don't benefit from it, why are you taking up somebody's time? If I can't answer that, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to fucking do it.
I think that's a healthy relationship with what you're doing.
Yeah, and you know what? It's all about being present in the moment. It's all about being an advocate and being a platform for others. And Jerald, before I let you go, like I want to like kind of ask you, when it comes to this next chapter in your life, like what you're about to like embark upon. You talked about in your personal life there being a lot of changes. You talked about being getting married, and yes, fighting is important to you. It is a thing, but it's not the thing. So balancing out your future, and like fighting will be there. I think that's safe to say, but like what can like the people that are part of the Jerald Spohn army, like what could they kind of anticipate like moving forward as like your life progresses? Is it just kind of one of those things where it's like you're gonna have to kind of wait and see? Like I might only be out there once or twice a year. I might not. There might be times where you don't see me at all. Are there any sort of things that you'd like want to tell people in your circle, or just like your fan base at large, like what they could expect kind of down the road?
So I don't have anything set in stone, so I'm not gonna delve into too much detail, but I want to provide value to more people, not just people at the gym, and not just people in my circle, but a larger group of people, and in a slightly different way. So something I've been having conversations about, and I haven't quite committed to it yet. So that's why I don't want to talk too much about it in case
Okay.
it doesn't make sense. But there's something that I've had ideas about for a while and have wanted to work on that helps a lot of people. It's involving martial arts and younger people, more so like middle school, high school age kids, and basically using it as a way to improve their lives. And it's a different spin on really what anyone's doing out there with it. So I know that's information without giving too much, and it's probably a shitty thing to do, but I don't want to put it out there that I'm doing this big thing and then not do it. So like if I'm going to say something, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to say little, but I am working on ways to bring value to a larger group of people right now. Fighting is very self-serving, and I've served myself with it very heavily for the past few years. Likely not done doing that, but I want to serve others right now.
And you know what? Like at the end of the day, when the lights are shut off and it's just you and you're driving in your car, or you know, you're shaving, or well, that's a terrible thing to say for you. But you know, I guess what I'm trying to say, Jerald, is like at the end of the day, like you have to look at that man in the mirror and you have to be happy with what you see.
Yeah.
And as long as you're happy, you never have to fight again if you don't want to. If like if that's not going to bring you happiness, you don't owe it to me. You don't owe it to anybody to do it. It's that's entirely on you. And Jerald, I want to give you the last word. What else? Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on before we call it a day?
Last word. Nothing about myself that I have to promote or put out there or anything. If anything, I just want to urge anyone listening here to take the time to take an honest look at themselves and to just do what's right for themselves and think about what that is and figure it out and start small. Start like ridiculously small. Everyone tries to make it this big, huge thing, but like ridiculously small, as in if you want to be in a little bit of better shape, do 1 push-up a day. And I legitimately mean start with 1 push-up a day, because it's so ridiculous. You'll do 1 and you'll be like, I can do like 5. And then you'll do like 5. And then after a week, you'll be like, 5 is easy. I could do 7, you know? And then it's compounding interest at that point. So start just, you know, just take care of yourself, dude. Like we need to take care of ourselves. So anyone listening, like put you first, take care of yourself. Then you can help everyone else around you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jerald Spohn. Jerald, appreciate your time. Thank you for being here.